The end of times is a mythical favorite. How life on this planet will come to an end. Every religion has a different version, every scientist has a different theory, and every conspiracy theorist has a captivating tale. But they all agree on one thing: it will be dramatic and biblical. Maybe something like this. What you're looking at are not European canal cities. These are towns overrun by floods. You can barely see the streets. They're completely submerged underwater. Entire houses have been swept away. 3 countries are facing the worst of it: Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. We call such events natural disasters, forces beyond human control. All we can do is hope for the best and ride it out. But these floods are not completely natural. Look at the scale of this event. Parts of Western Germany got 148 liters of rain per square meter in 48 hours. The average is 80 liters for the entire month of July. So that's almost 2 months' rain in 2 days. Nature, we know, is erratic, but not that erratic. So what is causing these supercharged downpours? Climate change. We let the experts break down the science behind it.
In a warmer world, the atmosphere can hold more moisture. And of course, as there is more water, more moisture in the atmosphere, rainfall events can become more extreme. So we've seen before that extreme rainfall events have become more frequent because of climate change.
All the climate change deniers out there, this is your proof. Climate change is real and it is killing people. More than 100 have died in this deluge. Thousands have fled their homes. And once the water retreats, Europe will have a multi-billion-dollar bill. That's the cost of climate change: disruption, death, and despair. And Europe is not out of the woods yet. In Germany, the rivers have burst their banks. They're spilling into major roads and bridges, like this one near Erfstadt. And in Belgium, railway tracks have been swept away. This train derailed after being hit by a wave of flooding. Officials say it could take weeks to complete the repairs. And remember, transport is key to evacuation. So these blocked roads and railways could complicate rescue operations. Right now, helicopters are swooping over flooded streets. They're searching for any signs of life, families stranded on rooftops, or residents who set out on foot. These pictures from Europe are worrying enough. Unfortunately, we have more. Last week, the American East Coast was battered by a tropical storm. Within days, New York City was flooded. The residents were wading through knee-deep water. It seeped into the underground subway stations. These are called flash floods. They don't build up gradually. Just a few hours of intense rain can trigger a flash flood. They're extremely dangerous because there's no warning. Just 350 kilometers from this deluge, there is a drought situation. That's right. Washington has declared a state of drought emergency. Nature cannot explain this kind of freak weather, but climate change can. We've seen heat waves in Canada and South Asia, the heaviest rainfall since measurement began in Tokyo, the worst floods of the century in Europe. All of this in a span of less than 2 months. Do you still think the planet is fine? We are in the summer of climate change. Freak events are becoming common: supercharged rains, heat waves on steroids, monster cyclones and storms, which means the window of action is closing. Quite simply, it's now or never. Such catastrophes can move leaders to action. German politicians, for one, are lining up to blame climate change. The Vice Chancellor said the floods must serve as an incentive for climate action.
This is a natural disaster. But the fact that this natural disaster is taking place in this way is certainly connected to the fact that climate change is progressing at a speed that we have observed for a while. That must be another incentive and also an obligation for all those who have become victims here, for us to do everything we can to stop man-made climate change and prevent such disasters in this scale.
We've heard these promises before, but with time they're forgotten. Until the next disaster strikes and the cycle repeats again, climate change is the footnote at every summit, a punching bag in geopolitics. When leaders want to appear savvy and hip, they talk about climate change. This year, we have a chance to change that again. The United Nations Climate Conference is scheduled for November 2021. World leaders are expected to review the Paris Accord goals, possibly set new targets to bring down emissions. The summit takes place in Glasgow, Scotland, the same city that was inundated by flash floods last month. But people have a short memory these days. Even existential threats are soon forgotten. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.